Speaking Human.
Today on Speaking Human, we lob up our picks for top NBA teams and slam down our winners for the sweetest league logos.
Speaking Human.
Welcome to Speaking Human, where we simplify the world of marketing for humans. I'm Shad Conley, and with me is my co-host, Patrick Jebber.
What's going on, Shad? How's the world of the NBA treating you?
I don't know how it's treating me, but it's pretty good. It's action. It's NBA playoff time coming up here. So what do you think, Patrick? Who's going to win it all? Give me your prediction right here, right now. Go.
I think the Cavs. I'm a little partial. Cavs. No?
Homer. I'll never say never. They're one of, four teams that could.
I mean, they're doing all right. I mean, they got all the right guys, I think.
Nobody knows what you're going to get from the Cavs day in and day out. They're like a total wild card. So they could be amazing, but it's hard to know based on this season, which has been just crazy. A lot of drama with the Cavs.
Yeah, up and down, up and down.
I'd love to see them, pull something off, do something awesome, another amazing LeBron story, but kind of see what happens. Part of me is like, something different's going to happen. It's going to be like Philadelphia and the Houston Rockets in the finals, but deep down, I'm kind of like, it's probably going to be the Cavs and the Warriors again.
Yeah, I think people will be upset if it is, for sure, because everybody's like, come on, give us a different team.
You think everybody's sick of that now?
I don't know. I feel like there's got to be some,
Yeah, it's been such a good matchup, but yeah, it might be past the point of being fresh or interesting. Do people want something new? But, if it's another good series, everybody's into a good series. If it's close, if it's the Warriors blowing out Cleveland, nobody's super interested in seeing that again.
No.
At least I'm not.
No, I'm not either. Yeah, if the Cavs came back and beat the Warriors, I mean, they could probably go another year, them both going to the finals just to see.
Yeah, that's true. If we got Cavs and Warriors again and the Cavs knotted it up and they each had two.
Yeah, then it would be like all-time rivalry would be created from that kind of scenario.
Yeah, and the NBA can get rid of all the other teams and it can just be those two teams playing because that's what it comes down to in the end.
Yeah. And if you're LeBron, you're just working out
getting
nonstop.
Stronger every year. You're superhuman.
Yeah. I don't know. Dude is insane. He gets better with age. Kind of like us.
He is. He just defies everything exactly like us. That's what I was thinking. The comparison was so clear.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So let's get away from talking about actual teams playing actual basketball, which is, only semi-interesting. And let's talk about some team names, Patrick. NBA team names. There's a lot of them. As many as there are teams, in fact. But which ones are the best ones?
It's going to be fun talking about this today because there are so many team names, like you said, and there's so many changes that have happened over the years that, like teams move around, so they keep the name, but they have a different geographical location. So
yeah, especially we'll get to that a little more even when we talk logos in a little bit. But let's start out just throwing out our worst three NBA team names. Here's what I came up with for my worst. I'd say there's probably like 10 teams I consider in the running for worst team names, but here's the three I thought were the worst of the worst. They are the Nuggets, the Suns, and the Raptors. What does basketball have to do with dinosaurs? I don't know.
Isn't that the home of all dinosaurs?
Yes, where all remaining dinosaurs that are still living live in Toronto, I think.
I thought they should have named it the Toronto Rexes would be sweet, because it'd be the T-Rexes. Why didn't they think of that?
Maybe they thought Raptors were scarier. I don't know when they came up with that name, if it was around the time of, Jurassic Park, but in that first Jurassic Park movie, Raptors were pretty hot after that.
I guess you wouldn't want to have the T-Rexes because they have little arms.
Which, when you're playing basketball, you don't want little arms. Yeah. So then my other ones, the Suns, that's not intimidating.
Mm-mm.
And the Nuggets, I have a tough time wearing paraphernalia that says Nugget.
Yeah.
You'll wear it if you support the team enough, but, it's better if it looks cool or you have a cool name or something like that, or a cool logo.
Yeah. My bottom three, I had the Suns on there, the Phoenix Suns. I just thought it's a really generic term. It doesn't really have anything to do other than, obviously Arizona's pretty hot.
Wait a second. They have sun in Phoenix?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Isn't that weird? Also the Nets. I thought it's just so generic. Then my last, the New Orleans Pelicans. They had to change their name after the Hornets, it was given back to Charlotte. I read somewhere that Louisiana is a home to a large number of swamps and bayous where pelicans congregate. But pelicans? Really?
I know. I can say almost unequivocally, I'm not a super fan of the animal names.
Yeah.
There's some are better than others, or some aren't that bad, I guess. Most of them, I'm not like super into that. Most of those animal names, I feel like those are kind of generic.
Yeah. That's the thing that I always look at is A, does it relate to the area that it stems from? And B, kind of want to have something cool and tough because you're playing basketball. You want it to be somewhat intimidating. But so like the Hawks for me, I think that's one of the better ones. So what's your favorite then?
Well, going to my 3 best, funny enough, one of the ones I thought was the best, you pegged as one of the worst, the Nets. I mean, it's the one that like fits most with basketball. Like you couldn't have a baseball team named the Nets. It wouldn't really make sense. I thought it fit with basketball when it was the New Jersey Nets that flowed a little better, but I thought that was a good basketball team name. I also like the Heat. I feel like that's another good basketball name that also goes well with Miami. You could be like your heat check, you're hitting your shots, or, Miami's hot as hell.
Yeah, bring in the heat.
Yep, so it fits. And then the third one I had, these are all, I don't know, coincidentally, East Coast teams. The Knicks. I like the Knicks. I think it's a unique name. It's short for Knickerbockers, a nickname for New Yorkers that goes back to, they called Dutch settlers in New York in the 1600s. That's just kind of a unique name that's become very distinctly basketball. And it flows with, New York Knicks. It has a good sound to it.
Yeah, I think those were good picks, even though the Nets, I don't know.
I see what you're saying about generic. It is generic, but it's also very basketball.
Yeah, basketball generic. And I think that's fine. I just, So my top picks would probably be the Golden State Warriors. I like Warriors. I think Warriors is kind of cool. And then I do like the Hawks. I think the Atlanta Hawks that's kind of a cool name. It flows. A hawk is kind of a cool bird. And then my last one is the Boston Celtics. It's not like a super basketball-ish name, but the Celtics sort of relates to the region.
It's a very Boston name.
Now, I'm not a big fan of the logo, but we'll be getting into that a little bit later.
It's a little goofy.
Yeah. If it's got some meaning, I think that always helps.
Yeah, and it's obviously very subjective as this whole show is, but yeah, I thought Warriors was a good one too, even though I was like, that's somewhat generic. That could kind of be anything. Mm-hmm. It's one I also like too.
There are a lot of teams. I really didn't know the backstory behind the naming of them. And I went, wow, I didn't realize that's why they named that. Because you sort of just get accustomed to seeing the names and knowing them, but you don't necessarily dig any deeper into that. Like the Philadelphia 76ers, it's named in honor of the men who signed the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah. In the year
1776.
I looked it up too.
Yeah, very cool backstories to the names of the teams.
Yeah, it is pretty interesting when you actually dig into it and find out more. It adds a little bit of depth. Obviously, the surface fan doesn't usually get that much information, so you're just kind of taking it at face value. But when you peel back that layer, you get a little more, so you see why some of these things are what they are. So in a minute, you'll find out if our favorite team names match up with our favorite NBA team logos. But first, let's get a quick word from our sponsor.
Today's sponsor is Farmers Insurance. Insurance can be confusing, overwhelming, and time-consuming. At Hire Insurance Agency, we remove the guesswork and hassle, helping you protect what matters most. We offer a wide range of auto, home, business, and life insurance policies to help you meet your specific needs. Call 844-543-3463 or visit hireinsurance.com. That's HYRE insurance.com for more information.
It's the NBA playoffs, and many cities are anxiously waiting to see which one will celebrate.
Thousands of people.
That was a clip from an NBA promo commercial for the 2018 playoffs, which as of this recording are just about to get underway. We don't know which team will take the NBA championship in June, but we're about to tell you which teams are the logo champions of the league.
So before we get into our favorite logos, let's talk a minute about the criteria we used here and what makes a great team logo.
Like we talked a little bit about the team names, and I think there's some parallels. You know, does it make sense with the sport and the geographical region? I think, does it look cool? Would it look cool on not just the uniforms that the team players are wearing, but also merchandise that you'd be buying as a fan? Because that's really what it's all about.
Yeah, that fan appeal is a key factor. But yeah, like you said, how it fits with the sport, the team name, the city or state identity. Key factors you look at when you're digging a little deeper on these things. Let's jump right in here. What's your first one?
My first one is for the Washington Wizards.
Oh.
This one is kind of cool. The new version of the Washington Wizards. In the circle, it has the basketball that has the star. And then if you look closely, like the basketball shape in the center there is actually the Washington Monument towards the bottom where the Wizards are.
That's a good point, though. The Washington Monument, I don't even know that I, even looking at that logo up close, picked out that detail. That's a nice detail in there. And got the red, white, and blue going. Very Washington, you know. America. You know, a lot of the basketball logos are roundels or logos in circles or seals or whatever you want to call them. That circle, you know, can be very easily placed in all sorts of designs, which is what I like about them. Yeah, absolutely.
So what's your first pick?
Coincidentally, you know, I mentioned all my favorite team names were from the East. All my favorite logos are from the West. This was not intentional. This is just something I'm noticing now. So my first pick, maybe kind of a cliche, but it's the Los Angeles Lakers, which is to me kind of like the epitome of basketball logos. It's just a basketball. You know, it's a basketball with that moving motion kind of speed. Los Angeles Lakers, really, especially that L, really looks like it's moving, propelled forward. The iconic yellow and purple colors on there. So you got your basketball, you've got your motion, and you've got your name in those iconic colors. And I just think it works on every level, from the fonts they chose to just how the simplicity of it. It just kind of functions perfectly and captures what the sport is and the identity of this team and what it's been for quite some time now. They haven't really changed it all that much in recent years.
Yeah, it hasn't really changed all that much. They kind of update a little bit of the color and the line work and everything. Not my favorite logo. I gotta be honest.
Don't like it, huh?
No, just
what would be your knocks on it?
I don't know. It feels like it needs an update. You know, logos should be timeless, but for some reason, the Los Angeles Lakers, there's something about the balance of the basketball and the word Lakers on top of it. It just never sat right with me. Now, I do like their jersey logos, which is just the word Lakers. I do like that. And I do like the color combination that they've used. So,
see, I enjoy the Lakers, just has such pure simplicity to it. Interesting disagreement there. I like it. Button heads on the first one.
We can't always agree on everything.
I know, clearly on this episode. We've agreed for like 95 episodes, and now 96 is when things just go insane.
Yeah, we're like, no, you're wrong. I'm right.
The Nets are terrible.
So I know that you're going to laugh at this one because this was like one of your bottom list names. But I do like the logo for the Memphis Grizzlies, the crazy yellow-eyed bear. Look, I know this bear icon is probably not the most original or unique, but it's an easy read. I do like it. I think, you know, it's kind of cool. I could see it on merchandise and feels updated and modern, slightly intimidating, you know, has a cool factor to it, which is kind of what you want in any sport, right? You kind of want it to be something that you're not embarrassed to wear. But I also think it could be translated into something cute. You know, I think about plush doll merchandise when they're selling it for kid fans that are out there. Probably not with yellow eyes. It looks like it's going to kill the kid, but
slightly menacing. That bear looks like it's standing over your bed ready to slit your throat.
Well, it's not a murderous, rage-filled bear. I think he's just saying, is this all you got?
He's controlled. He's controlled. He plans his kills.
Yeah.
He's not like, acting on emotion.
That's murderous?
He's planned this ahead. He's come with like the plastic. He laid it down.
Oh, like a Dexter moment.
Yeah. He's got the kill room ready.
Yeah. He's clearly standing in the shadows, too.
Yeah, because there's a shadow on his face.
Yeah. But I like that you can actually very clearly read Memphis, too, in the logo. That's something that gets lost sometimes is the actual words. Grizzlies a little difficult to make out from a distance, but...
Yeah. I'm a little iffy on the bear and there's a lot of angry animals, but I do like the way that the team name is presented there. I like the strong Memphis with the Grizzlies underneath. I think that's good. I do like how the font use on Memphis too.
Yeah, a little different than some of the other ones, which is what I also like about that, So what's next on your list, man? What do you got?
Next on my list, the Utah Jazz. The Jazz, man.
Oh, man. I'm starting to see...
Is this another one you hate?
I'm starting to see some parallels in the choices that you've made, for sure.
This one I find really interesting. This is another name I kind of like that's off the beaten path. Weird for Utah, because I don't think Utah is known for jazz, or I don't know Utah for jazz. I think of jazz as like Chicago or Memphis or New Orleans, something like that.
Yeah.
I don't generally think of Utah as a jazz town, but... in general, people have equated the game of basketball to like jazz music and the way it's played, the improvisational nature of it and stuff like that. So I think it kind of works there. I love the music note that is also a basketball. I think that's a cool touch there. Brings these two worlds of music and sport together. And I also like how that note is used as the J, pushing into the Utah on top of the Jazz. I like the whole presentation there. I think it works for me. It obviously does not work for you. Why don't you tell me why?
It's not as bad for me as the Lakers, I'll be honest.
Is it a dislike of the name, or does a lot of people dislike the name?
I don't necessarily dislike the name. I do agree with you that I think it would be better suited for like New Orleans or another area that you would think of
like
as
Memphis Jazz. Would make more sense.
Memphis Jazz. So that part I agree with you. Yeah, so it's not necessarily the name. The logo feels a lot like what you like about the Los Angeles Lakers logo, which is okay. I get that. I think it's much better than the Los Angeles Lakers. I don't particularly like the basketball J. It's not like the worst, right? But I just...
You don't like the basketball J music note?
I just, nah, not really.
It's three things.
It's a basketball, it's a J, and it's a musical note. How can I not love that? The next thing you'll be telling me is your next logo choice is the Houston Rockets. Is it?
I did not pick the horror movie Houston Rockets logo. Dripping blood.
No, but it's not a bad pick. I could see the similarities there.
Two of the more simple ones, and I could see why you would think, based on those two picks, I would pick the Houston Rockets next.
I mean, they have,
So
right?
let me scribble that out real quick.
Pick a different one. All right. So I really labored on this last one because there were some that I thought were, interesting, and as logos they could work. Like, even though I'm not the biggest fan of the Sacramento Kings as a name necessarily or anything, but I do like the colors, and I thought the logo was kind of interesting. And the Orlando Magic, very easy to read Magic. I kind of like the swish of the ball. Now, see, that basketball to me is much more impactful than the Lakers, right? That's how I envision modernizing a basketball.
It's like a shooting star.
Yeah, like a shooting star. Anyway, so my last pick is the Atlanta Hawks. And I picked this one for three very simple reasons. One,
You're in love with the Hawks.
as I think you could probably already tell by this whole episode, I've talked about the Hawks, but red is a great design element. And then it's a very simple icon of this silhouette of a hawk. They've modernized it a little bit. They tweaked it very slightly over the years, but it's a very easy read, in my opinion. The only thing that would make that a little bit better for me is if the hawk silhouette was actually full red and then the eye was reversed out in white. I think it would actually make that logo slightly better. I think it would be a little easier to read the hawk. And then I also like that they added basketball club to their logo. Clubs are back, baby. Clubs are back. And it's a seal, like I was saying before, the circle, it's very easy to interject into different designs.
Yeah, I don't know. Talk about a logo that never even popped up on my radar. I feel like it just comfortably in the middle there, it doesn't really stand out Doesn't call attention to itself in any negative or positive way. Just there, like the Atlanta Hawks basketball team.
Oh, man. You had to go there, didn't you? You had to go there?
I don't know why. What a dig. Yeah, maybe that's just because of the one color, almost too simple for me. It's like it almost doesn't have a pulse.
Yeah, I guess I could see where you're saying that. I mean, it definitely doesn't fall apart, like the Los Angeles Lakers or have a musical note.
It's a musical note, a J, and a basketball.
What else can it be? It could be other things too, I suppose.
It's the Swiss Army knife of logo pieces.
Yeah, okay.
So I'll throw in some of my honorables that I considered here. I considered the Knicks logo. I like the Knicks logo. It's kind of like old school. It's something that I think would look cool on a t-shirt. As far as the circular logos go, I like the 76ers one. I think that's all right. But what I went with as my top one is one that you mentioned, the Sacramento Kings, which is actually a logo I hadn't really given much consideration until I, looked at these in depth. And then I was like, oh, there's some clever things going on here. One, I really like the colors they use. As you mentioned, it's some unique colors that kind of faded purple and gray.
Yeah.
But I like how they used elements of the logo to reinforce the team name, creating a crown-like effect.
Yeah.
So you have the basketball on the bottom. They use the city on the top, putting the Sacramento name in it. Kings in the middle, and you have ends up being the look of a crown, which is something I never noticed before, which maybe you could call a failing of the logo, but it's something I thought was just an added layer of depth for me when I actually looked at it. But it's cool to have on something. It represents the city, and the city, the sport, all those things we kind of mentioned in the criteria. That was kind of the one that popped out at me as being the best.
I like that one a lot, as I mentioned. It's an update from, I know that they had that same similar kind of style in 85, 86, and 93, 94, and they had red and blue back then, and I like that they changed it to this purple and gray and black. Purple being very royal in terms of kings and royalty. That was a very royal color back in the day, so I like that they made that switch. It has some historical value to the color change too. And then I do like that it just doesn't sit inside of circles. So a lot of, two of my picks were inside of circles.
Yeah,
maybe
probably half the logos sit inside of circles.
Yeah, which a lot of people will argue is like, come on, it's not unique. It's kind of redundant. So I do like that about this logo is that it sort of falls outside of that, but it's still cool, the balance of it. And Kings, again, going back to, typography, very clearly readable from a distance and at very small sizes. So
with also an interesting font choice.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. That is a good choice. And they have some great alternate logos too for that. The lion, the crown on it, dribbling a basketball, and it's just a crown that's purple and black. So
I'll ask you real quick, what did you think of the Knicks logo? This is kind of an old school, simple, similar to the Lakers in many ways, kind of superhero-ish. Do you like that logo?
Oddly enough, I do kind of like that logo. For the reasons you mentioned, I think it's kind of cool. It has a retro feel. Probably one of the ones that holds up the most. Again, I kind of picked out that one element to the Los Angeles Lakers, with the basketball and the simplicity of that line work. But in this logo, the New York Knicks, I think it actually works. They're very similar basketballs. If you look at them, they almost look exactly the same. They're just pivoted slightly. For whatever reason, the Knicks works for me.
Yeah, you might have convinced me. Maybe I like that one better than the Lakers. Probably rather have a t-shirt with it. I don't know.
I would have a t-shirt with that one definitely over the Lakers. So, an honorable mention.
Whoa.
Yeah.
You have an honorable mention.
I know. I don't often provide honorable mentions, but I will say this. Some of the new Nike jerseys are pretty cool.
Revised NBA Nike jerseys they introduced this year.
Yeah, the land on the Cavs jerseys are some of the nicest versions of the uniform I've seen. And the land isn't their logo, and I know we're talking about logos, but I think it's pretty awesome how they're being somewhat playful with their identities. A lot of the teams, there's these alternate logos, there's these, like the land has sort of come up from Cleveland. They started using that interchangeably. And I really like that. But again, the land isn't the logo, but I think as an honorable mention, I think it's one of the cooler elements of what's been happening with the Cavs lately. Because I'm not the biggest fan of the Cavs logo, I'll be honest.
Yeah, I agree. There's nothing super special going on there.
Yeah, and I've never liked any of the previous iterations of the Cavs logo either. So just a little honorable mention as something that I think is working for them, the land.
I like it. I do. I like the use of the land too. I think that's a good, whether you call it marketing or whether that becomes eventually a part of their team presentation. I think it's good. I think people respond to it. And I like that you're getting in the honorable mention game. About time.
I know. I always ding you for that, but you know what? I was like, I have to just call this out because it has come up several times while I'm watching the games. I'm like, I just love those jerseys, man. And the land, it feels like so definitive, right? You're going from Cleveland, which is your city, and then you're saying the land. And it just sounds like it's the place, right? It is the center of everything. When you say, this is the land, I mean, you're making a statement, right? And a little bit of a fanboy in that statement too, but...
Do you want to go to Cleveland? Or do you want to go to the land, baby?
You're always going to say, I'm going to go to the land, right? I mean, why wouldn't you? Like, if you had the choice.
It sounds so much better.
Yeah. So I think some of those are some good picks.
There's a lot to talk about with these logos, maybe more than you even would think so on the surface, but a lot of fun. You know, there's a lot of them we didn't even get to scratch the surface on. We didn't get to talk about the Milwaukee Bucks weird, angry, buck, you know?
Yeah.
Or other angry animals that there are on logos, but could do 10 shows on that. Or we didn't get to talk about the goofy Boston Celtics guy with the basketball on his finger.
Yeah, I'm sure we'd get some hate mail for that, too, if we talked about that at all.
People love that guy. People love that guy sitting on his cane.
Yeah, but going back to your one thing, you know, there's so many great animals with reversed out white eyes, yellow eyes, green eyes. There's nothing more terrifying than an animal that you can't see its pupils.
Yeah, that's what the league decided. When all else fails, you know, get a scary animal on there.
That's good. That's good. Well, on that note, let's get our final nugget of human wisdom.
Human wisdom. All right, for our final nugget of human wisdom, I have a couple things. I actually have one fun fact, little trivia question, and then I got 2 tweets showing the impact of team logos on fans. So we'll do our little trivia question first. We'll see if you can answer this one, Patrick. You've done some logo research here. Which NBA team has never changed their logo?
Oh.
One team, never changed their logo. Who is it?
I would say it should be the Lakers because you know how much I dislike the Lakers. I don't know. Would it be... who could it be? Who could it be? I really want to get this right, even though I know I'm going to miss it. Is it the Knicks?
It is not the Knicks. They may have had theirs longer, but this is just the team that's, you know, hasn't changed it since they put it into play. And that is the Chicago Bulls.
Ah, you know, I had that.
Same logo, just that bull. They're probably the original angry animal.
You could see the pupils, though. See, that's how you could tell this. Spot the difference. You could spot the difference.
Yeah, they had humanity. He's just a little bit angry. He's not dead inside.
No, he's not an evil bull. He's just angry.
And for our next human wisdom, that's a little trivia you can share with your friends. Now we have 2 tweets showing the impact of team logos on fans. Our first comes from SLC Dunk. That's at SLC Dunk, tweeting about the Oklahoma City Thunder's logo. It is unacceptable that we as NBA fans have accepted the Thunder's logo as if this is normal. It is a retired men's rec team logo at best. We must make a stand against this logo equivalent of a last-minute essay report copy and pasted from Wikipedia. Ooh. Our next one comes from Ashley Paget, and it's about the Minnesota Timberwolves logo. And that's at Ashley Paget, Padget. 4 years ago, I picked what was arguably the worst NBA team at the time to follow, mainly because of the logo. 1 win tonight, and it's playoffs, baby. Go Timberwolves. So there you have an example of somebody who basically started following a team because of the logo. That's the impact it can have. On the other side, you have somebody rallying against a logo that they don't really want to wear in the Oklahoma City Thunder one, which I agree is just not the best.
Again, how logos and branding like that can make a big impact on a team, which is a lot like a company or a business. Good logo can have a great impact, positive or negative, on your fan base, which are your customers.
Help rally them.
Yeah, or make them super angry. Never make your customers angry is the goal.
Yeah, there's always people who won't like your iconic logo that people have loved for decades, like the Los Angeles Lakers.
But you know what? some opinions don't matter either. Like mine in this case.
You were like the Memphis Grizzly, just tearing that logo apart with your dead eyes.
Yeah, good nuggets of human wisdom and things that we can leave our listeners with. Again, we haven't even scratched the surface today. There's lots and lots and lots of information out there and past logos, and you can compare things. We'll have some links in our show notes for sure. So that's it for today's episode, everyone. You can find current and past episodes of the podcast on speakinghuman.com. You can also find and listen to the podcast on Podbean or anywhere awesome podcasts are broadcast.
So go out there, take a look at these logos, and figure out which ones are your favorites or least favorites, and then tweet us. Tweet us your favorite NBA team names and logos using the hashtag #BestNBATeamBrands. You can find us at speaking_human on Twitter. That's at speaking_human on Twitter. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another episode of Speaking Human. Catch you then, humans.
Speaking Human.